What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'll be doing my updated 2026 NASCAR Cup Series silly season predictions. I'm going to go through all the full-time entries and the part-time entries for the 2026 season. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start by talking about the one car for Trackhouse Racing. This will once again be driven by Ross Chastain, who has a multi-year contract with Trackhouse Racing. Ross Chastain has continued to have a lot of success with Trackhouse Racing, as he's won at least one race over the course of the last 4 years and could win more races for the end of 2025. I expect Ross Chastain to continue to have success for many years to come with the organization. He's probably going to be with Trackhouse for many years to come. He'll continue driving number one car in 2026. Up next, up with the 2 car for Team Penske. It's been confirmed that Austin Hendrick will return to Team Penske in 2026. He does have a contract, though, through 2026, so 2026 could shockingly be the final year for Austin Cindric, but I do expect, because Cindric has been getting better with the team and program, I do expect that Austin Cindric long-term is going to stay with Team Penske. He's been having a career year in the NASCAR Cup Series up to this point. He picked up a win at Talladega Superspeedway recently. I think Austin Cindric will be with Team Penske for the foreseeable future. He'll be back in that car next season. Up next, how about the 3 car for Richard Childress Racing? It was confirmed in Charlotte that Austin Dillon will continue driving the number 3 car in 2026. Despite the fact that Austin Dillon's had up and down runs over the course of the last couple years with this team and program, Austin Dillon still has had some decent success with this team at times. He can sometimes shock you and get top 10s and top 15s. Next year could be the final year for Austin Dillon, as he will also be in a contract year with this team. He could go to more of a management role with the program in the future, but he'll stay with the number 3 car at least through next year. Up next, up with the 4 car for Front Row Motorsports. It's expected that Noah Gragson will be back in the 4 car in 2026. There's a lot of unknown uncertainty with the lawsuit going on, though, that could affect Noah Gragson's future. But as of right now, at this moment, I do expect that Noah Gragson is going to stay in the 4 car. He's not had a good year so far this year, but I think Noah Gragson can get better. He's had a couple good runs, but generally this year it's been an off year for Noah Gragson at this program. We'll see what Noah Gragson can do next season, but as of right now, he'll continue driving the number 4 car in 2026. Up next, up with the 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Kyle Larson, who will return to this program next season. 2026 is going to be a contract year for Kyle Larson and Hendrick Motorsports, but at some point this year, I do expect Larson to sign a multi-year contract extension, probably to like 2028 or 2029, because Larson's been really good with Hendrick Motorsports since getting with the team. He's won the most races in the next-gen era, and he'll continue driving this number 5 car next year. Up next, up with the 6 car for RFK Racing. This will once again be driven by Brad Keselowski. 2026 could be the final year for Brad Keselowski, especially with the unknowns on whether that 3rd charter for RFK is going to stick around after 2026. Plus, Brad Keselowski will be 42 at the end of next season. Brad is starting to get up there a little bit in age, plus his performance, while it's been good in recent weeks, it's not been the best season for Brad Keselowski at this point. But I don't expect Brad to go anywhere at least next year. He'll continue driving this number 6 car in 26. Up next, up with the 7 car for Spire Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Justin Haley, who has been confirmed to be back in the number 7 car in 2026. Justin Haley's not had a good season so far, but he of course lost his crew chief and also lost his car chief early in the year. Justin Haley, I think, is a very solid race car driver. If you give him time, I think he can get better. He's someone that I feel like if you have the right people around him, he could do a really good job. But as of now, he'll continue driving his number 7 car next season. Up next, how about the 8 car for Richard Childress Racing? This will once again be driven by Kyle Busch, who confirmed at the Charlotte Motor Speedway during the Coke 600 that he'll be back in the number 8 car in 2026. Kyle Busch has had an up and down run in 2025, but he's also been in competition to win a few races this year. Kyle Busch is looking for his first win since 2023 at Gateway. He'll look to snap that winless streak and could be a free agent after next year, but he'll stick around with the team for sure in 2026. Up next, up with the 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Chase Elliott, who has a contract through 2027. Chase Elliott is still looking for his first win since Texas Motor Speedway in 2024, but Chase's consistency has really been good with this program. Chase is also looking to get back and win some more races and compete for another championship, since he hasn't won a title in 5 seasons. But he'll continue driving this number 9 car next year and stay with the Hendrick Motorsports program at least through 26 and 27. Up next, up with the 10 car for Kaulig Racing. This is expected to be once again driven by Ty Dillon, who is working on a contract extension with Kaulig Racing for next year. Ty Dillon's had a pretty okay season so far, but I think some of the performances have been better than where the results have shown. I think if you give Ty Dillon time, he will get better. I think this 10 team's been showing a little more improvement with Ty Norris being over there. He'll stick around with the team most likely for the 2026 season, as he'll drive the number 10 car at least at the moment for next year. Up next up the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This is once again expected to be driven by Denny Hamlin. He is in a contract year with Joe Gibbs Racing currently at the moment, but I think Denny Hamlin likely will sign a 1-year extension with this team. Now, I think 2026 could be the final year for Denny Hamlin because Denny Hamlin will be 46 at the end of 2026, and a lot of drivers start falling off at this point once they get up to their upper 40s. But as of now, Denny Hamlin will stick around with the team and will continue driving number 11 car for the 2026 year. Up next up at the 12 car for Team Penske. It's already confirmed that Ryan Blaney will be back behind the wheel of the number 12 car for 2026 as Ryan Blaney has a long-term contract with Team Penske. Ryan Blaney's been very, very good with Team Penske for the last couple of years. He's looking for a second championship in the last 3 seasons and looking to win a lot more races as he looks to pick up a second win before the end of the year. Ryan Blaney's been really, really strong, been showing some great pace and speed, and he'll continue driving a number 12 car at least through next season. Up next up at the 13 car for Kaulig Racing. I think there's a chance you are going to see a third Kaulig Racing car in the 2026 season. If they do show up, I think Will Brown might make a few starts in the NASCAR Cup Series next year. If Daniel Suarez does not return to Trackhouse Racing in 2026, I think this could be a potential opportunity for him on a full-time basis next season or at least a part-time stint. And I think if Brock Feeney comes over and races in NASCAR, he might drive this car. But as of right now, things only a part-time opportunity for a few drivers going into the 2026 year. Up next up at the 15 car for Rick Ware Racing. It was announced a couple days ago that Rick Ware Racing has been purchased by TJ Bashire, who used to own Spire Motorsports. They will have one full-time car and likely a part-time car for next season. I think the candidates for the seat are guys like Corey LaJoie, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, and Harrison Burton. I think Corey LaJoie is the most likely candidate considering he has worked with Spire Motorsports in the past and driven for that team and organization. I think Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed can make a few starts in Cup, and Harrison Burton has made a start with Rick Ware Racing this season, but there will be ownership change, and I think this will be a part-time entry most likely next year. Up next up the 16 car for Kaulig Racing. It's already been confirmed that AJ Allmendinger will be back behind the wheel of the number 16 car in Cup next season. I think it's a great decision considering AJ Allmendinger has been having some good runs with this team this year, and Allmendinger is someone who I think has a good chance at opportunity depending on what happens with the format that I think could get you a win and victory. I think AJ is a good driver. He'll stick around with the organization and team as of right now through 26 and probably at least for the next couple years in the NASCAR Cup Series. Up next up the 17 car for RFK Racing. It's already been confirmed that Chris Buescher will be back with RFK Racing next season. Chris Buescher has been getting stronger with this team and program. Usually during the summer months is when Chris Buescher really gets to his next level. I expect Chris Buescher to be a factor maybe down the road for a championship as RFK Racing continues to improve. Chris Buescher is a guy that you can expect to win a couple races. He'll stick around with the number 17 car for 2026. Up next, about to talk about the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. It's already been confirmed that Chase Briscoe will be back with Joe Gibbs Racing for next season. Chase Briscoe recently just picked up his first win with Joe Gibbs Racing, his third career NASCAR Cup Series win at Pocono, and Chase Briscoe is starting to get a lot better. He's been qualifying very, very well with this team, and I've been seeing a lot improved from Chase Briscoe when it comes to his driving style. I expect Briscoe to get better. He'll stick around in the 19 car next year. Up next up with the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. It's already been confirmed that Chris Bell will be back behind the wheel of the number 20 car in 2026. Chris Bell's been having a great season so far. 3 wins so far and could get another win before the end of the year and has a great chance and opportunity to win a championship with Joe Gibbs Racing. I think there's a good chance it could happen by the end of the season, and Chris Bell will stick around with the number 20 car for the foreseeable future, including in 2026 with this team. Up next up at the 21 car for the Wood Brothers. It's been confirmed that Josh Berry will be back behind the wheel of the number 21 car in 2026. It has been a career year for Josh Berry. He's already picked up a win so far from earlier this year at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and Josh Berry's shown some really good speed, especially on the intermediates this year. I think he will do better even next year as that alliance gets stronger and better. He's been having a great season with this organization. He'll stick around with the team and will continue driving the number 21 car for the Wood Brothers in 2026. Up next up at the 22 car for Team Penske. It has already been confirmed that Joey Logano will be back behind the wheel of the number 22 car next season. Joey Logano already has a win so far this season from Texas Motor Speedway, and Logano is probably going to be a championship contender considering he's always generally very good in the even years, so he'll be a major threat for the championship next year. Logano's also going to get better as time goes on. I do think Joey Logano will have a pretty good season with the organization in 2026. Up next up with the 23 car for 2311 Racing. It's been confirmed that Bubba Wallace will be back behind the wheel of the number 23 car for 2026, at least at this moment. But all depends on what happens with the lawsuit. If 2311 loses their charters altogether and Bubba does have to leave because of his charter stuff, Bubba could be a free agent at the end of the year. But at this moment right now, I'm just playing it by the fact they'll have a charter for next season. Bubba, as of this moment, will continue driving a 23 car for 2026. He's been having a career year and deserves to continue driving that seat. Up next up with the 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This will once again be driven by William Byron, who has a contract extension signed through 2029. William Byron's been having a good season, already won the Daytona 500 this year, and has been super consistent throughout the year, while leading the regular season standings by nearly 100 points at this moment. He's been having a great year. He's going to continue to get better. He's looking to get stronger during the summer stretch, looks to win more races, and looks to win his first Cup Series championship into the future. Up next up with the 33 car for Richard Childress Racing. RCR, I do expect to have a third car at least on a part-time basis in 2026. Austin Hill may go Cup racing next year, but there's also a chance he'll stay in the Xfinity Series in the 21. And I think if it happens, he will be a part-time guy in Cup next year in the 33. Jesse Love could also be a candidate for this car, but if he doesn't go to Legacy Motor Club, depending on what happens with that lawsuit and the Legacy Motor Club charter, I think Love could be back in his 33 car at least on a part-time stint. But as of right now, the main driver will be Austin Hill. Up next up with the 34 car for Front Row Motorsports. It's expected that Todd Gillen will continue driving a 34 car for 2026, but very similar to other drivers, his future is a little bit in question depending on what happens with this lawsuit of 2311 in Front Row Motorsports. Todd Gillen's had a couple top 10s so far this year. I think Todd Gillen is a solid race car driver and someone who could help your program get a lot stronger. As of now, I expect him to stick around in a 34 and continue to try to win his first career Cup Series race, which could happen for the end of 2025. Up next up with the 35 car for 2311 Racing. It's expected that Riley Herbst will be back behind the wheel of the 35 car in 2026, but the lawsuit depends on what happens for Riley Herbst's future. Riley Herbst has not had a good season. He's only had maybe one or two good runs in general this year, and there just hasn't been any pace or speed for the driver of the 35 car this season. He's looking to try to get some good runs before the end of the year, try to get some momentum for next season. As of now, he'll continue driving the 35, but it depends on what happens with this lawsuit. Up next up the 36 car for Front Row Motorsports. I think there is a chance that Front Row Motorsports could have a fourth part-time entry in 2026. If they do have a fourth part-time entry, I think most likely Chandler Smith and Lane Briggs are going to be the driver. The two guys who have driven in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They've both been doing a really good job in truck competition, and both I think have potential to be NASCAR Cup Series drivers in the future. They've both been good. I think this car could show up, and I think other drivers could be candidates for this in the future, maybe like a Haley Deegan. Up next up with the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports. This is expected to be once again driven by Zane Smith, but very similar. It depends on what happens with the lawsuit. Zane Smith's been pretty good this year with Front Row. He's in the top 25 in the standings, and I think he's been the fastest Front Row guy so far in 2025. And I think he's going to get better. I think he's been showing some good speed. He's been having a career year in the NASCAR Cup Series up to this point. A couple top 10s and generally been running top 15. He's been having a solid year so far in 2025. Up next up with the 40 car for Junior Motorsports. I think there is a chance that Junior Motorsports could potentially at least have a part-time car in 2026. If Daniel Suarez does not return to Trackhouse Racing next season, I think this could be a potential opportunity if Junior maybe goes to Junior Motorsports NASCAR Xfinity Series program for 2026. He brings sponsorship and funding to the table, and he would be a really good candidate for this seat if they go part-time. I think Justin Allgaier and Sammy Siv are also two good options, and maybe even Carson Quaffle could be a good option for this team if that does end up happening. I think there's potential candidates for this seat, and I think that Junior Motorsports could have a NASCAR Cup Series program at least on a part-time basis in 2026. Up next up with the 41 car for the Haas factory team. It's already been confirmed that Cole Custer will be back behind the wheel of the number 41 car next season. Cole Custer's not been generally running great this year. He's had some decent runs, had a top 10 in Mexico, but so far coming back to Cup, it's not worked out really well in his favor. As his team continues to improve, maybe we could see Cole Custer get to that top 20, top 15 on a week-by-week basis by the end of next year. But as of now, Cole Custer ain't changing anything up. He'll continue sticking around in Cup and driving the 41 car in 2026. Up next up with the 42 car for Legacy Motor Club. It's been already confirmed that John Nemechek will be back behind the wheel of the 42 car this year, or next year. And it's justified. John Hunter's been having a really, really good year with this program. He's had 6 or 7 top 10s. He's got more top 10s than Kyle Busch, more top 10s than Tyler Reddick, more top 10s, I think, than Bubba Wallace. I'm pretty sure the same amount of top 10s as Bubba. And he's in the top 25 in the points currently at the moment. Legacy's been getting a lot better and getting a lot stronger, and Nemechek's been doing a really good job with this team this year. Up next up with the 43 car for Legacy Motor Club. It has already been confirmed that Erik Jones will be back with Legacy Motor Club in 2026. He will be in a contract year, but why would you leave with a team that's getting better? Erik Jones is 18th in the regular season standings right now, and with the pace and speed, I wouldn't count out a possible win for Erik Jones in the next couple of years, because Erik Jones has been having a good year. There's been some good pace and speed with Erik. He's a good driver, shown some good stuff. He'll stick in this 43 car for next year. Up next up with the 44 car for NY Racing. I expect NY Racing to be back on the racetrack in 2026 with drivers like JJ Yeley, Brennan Poole, and Parker Reslov. I think JJ will make a majority starts in this car. I think Brennan Poole can make a 1-off or 2-off next year. And I think you could see Parker Reslov make a 1-off or 2-off in Cup. I think Parker's that good of a driver that if you gave him a Cup opportunity, he could probably do a decent job. I think this team will be definitely back, and I think they'll show some okay speed as they had some decent speed at Pocono last week. Up next up with the 45 car for 2311 Racing. This will once again be driven by Tyler Reddick at this moment, but very similar to other drivers with these programs, his future is a little bit in question right now. Tyler Reddick has been good, but not been having a great season with 2311. I think the lawsuit has played a little bit of distraction on that front, but I think Tyler Reddick's a good driver who can overcome stuff like this. I think Reddick will get wins for the end of this year if they could just find a consistent pace and speed. It's been a decent year for Reddick, but not as good of a year as they probably could have, but Reddick as of now, I don't expect anything to change. I think he'll stay in the 45 car at least through 2026. Up next up with the 47 car for Hayek Motorsports. This is expected to once again be driven by Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who does have a multi-year contract with this team. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. before the week of Nashville was having a really good season in the top 16 in the regular season in points. He's dropped outside the top 20 in the regular season standings after a couple of really bad races, but I think Stenhouse is someone who is continuing to do some good things and doing a lot with a little at this point. We'll see what Stenhouse can do in 2026, but he'll stick around in this car next year. Up next up with the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Alex Bowman, who does have a contract with this team and program through the 2026 year. He will be in a contract year in 2026, but I think he will likely stay with Hendrick. I know he's had some bad runs as of late with Hendrick Motorsports, but I think he's a good driver. He can get the best out of equipment at times, and I think Bowman will be a contender to maybe get some wins for the end of the year. He usually gets 1 win a season. He'll as of now stick around and continue driving the 48 car for next year. Up next up with the 50 car for Team Amerivent. This team I do expect to be back on the track in 2026. I think it could be someone like a Burt Myers or Jeffrey Earnhardt getting behind the wheel, or someone that we don't know at this point. But this team has made a few starts. They're probably going to focus a lot on people like Burt Myers, people from the short track scene. I think we'll get some interesting drivers behind the wheel, but I do expect this car to be on the track next year. Up next up with the 51 car for Rick Ware Racing. I've already mentioned there's going to be a new owner coming in with TJ Bashire coming in and purchasing the program. But nothing will change with the driver full-time, as Cody Ware will be the full-time driver in 2026. Cody Ware is going to be in a prove-it season next year. He really needs to step it up to the plate and really show some stuff going into next year. Otherwise, he may not be back with the team in 2027. But he's getting another year to stay with the team. We'll see what it can do in 2026. Up next up with the 54 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This will once again be driven by Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs has had a pretty bad season so far, but I've noticed a little more speed out of Ty Gibbs on the racetrack the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm starting to notice a little more consistent speed from Ty. He needs to continue showing that for the next couple of years. He's still looking for his first career NASCAR Cup Series victory, but he'll get some more opportunities to kind of show that stuff. He'll stick around and continue driving a 54 car into 2026 year. Up next up with the 56 car for Tricon Garage. Tricon Garage is a team that I do think may make more starts in NASCAR Cup competition next season. I think Taylor Gray could be a potential option to make a few NASCAR Cup Series starts next year if they show up. And I think Mark Truex Jr., who's been open to running another Daytona 500 in the past, I could see him driving it. And I also think Ryan Truex, who made a Cup Series start with Joe Gibbs Racing in Mexico, I think he could be another candidate to get behind the wheel. I think if they do show up, these are going to be the most likely drivers, but I think this team could show up in 2026. 2026. Up next up is the 60 car for RFK Racing. It is expected that Ryan Preece will be back behind the wheel of this number 60 car in 2026. They technically do have a licensing agreement for the charter for Ryan Preece to drive that 60 car from the 15 car switching to 51, but with the purchase of Rick Ware, there's a little bit of unknowns what's going to happen there. But with how good Ryan Preece has been doing, he's 17 from the points, been having a really good season with this program, showing some really great pace, and I think he's been doing a good job. I think he deserves to stick around. I don't expect anything to change. I think he will stay in the 60 car, at least for the foreseeable future. Up next up with the 62 car for Beer Motorsports. This team I do expect to be back in 2026, and Anthony Alfredo I think will be the only driver behind the wheel of this car. Anthony always shows up to the racetrack on a year-by-year basis, and he does a pretty good job when he gets behind the wheel of a Cup Series car for Beer. This team always runs the Super Speedways, so I expect him to show up at Super Speedways all the time if they come in, and I think this will be the only time you'll see Anthony Alfredo in Beer Motorsports in 2026. Up next, I'll talk about the 66 car for Garage 66. I expect Garage 66 will be back in the 2026 year, and I think Casey Mears could potentially make more starts in that car. I also think Davis Starr and Josh Walicki might be candidates for this 66 seat as well, and I'll throw Cam Waters in the mix. If Cam Waters can get a lot of assistance from the RFK Racing team, I could see this being a potential ride for him. I also think Chandler Smith could be a candidate for this seat as well if he doesn't go to front row. But as of now, I think those would be the most likely candidates for this 66 car in 2026. Up next up with the 67 car for 2311 Racing. Depending on what happens with the lawsuit, I do think 2311 will have a fourth car at least on a part-time basis next year. Most likely only for Corey Heim, but if Kurt Busch ever wants to come back and race, that'd be cool if he did. But mainly I think it's going to be for Corey Heim. He does have a development contract with 2311 Racing. I think there is a chance that you're going to see him at least run in the NASCAR Xfinity Series on a full-time basis with Sam Hunt Racing with some help from 2311. But I think Corey Heim's been so good, he should be full-time Cup. But as of right now, he probably won't be back in trucks, in my opinion. I think there's a chance he moves up in 2026. Up next up, the 71 car for Spire Motorsports. It's been confirmed that Michael McDowell will stick around with Spire Motorsports through the 2026 season. Michael McDowell, though, could retire at the end of the next year, as Michael McDowell will be 42 at the end of 2026, and it's unknown how long his contract truly is with Spire. Many think next year is going to be a contract year for him. I think he could potentially move away and also could retire and go to another team. But as of right now, McDowell deserves to stick around with Spire. He's been having a solid season. He's a good road course guy, and depending on what happens with the playoff format, I think that he could potentially stick around and do some good things with Spire. Up next up, the 77 car for Spire Motorsports. It's been confirmed that Carson Osbar does have a long-term contract with Spire and will stick around with the team in 2026. Carson's been having a very, very good year with this team. He's been having a career year in Cup. He's been in position to win a few races. This feels very similar to Kyle Larson, except Larson was much more popular at times than Carson Hocevar was from a lot of the younger fan base. I think that Carson's a good driver. He's really, really good. Criminally underrated. I think he's got a lot of potential to win a Cup Series race. Just clean up some of the antics, but he'll stick around in the 77 car next season. Up next up to the 78 car for Live Fast Motorsports. I expect this team to return in 2026, with BJ McLeod most likely being the driver once again, and maybe Catherine Legg in a few races as well. BJ will probably be the most likely driver for all the super speedways. If they show up at the road courses, I predict Catherine Legg will be the driver. But I expect this team to come back and return next year. They always run a few races every single season. BJ has a passion for the sport. I think you'll see this team get a lot more speed as well in the races that they end up running. Up next up at the 84 car for Legacy Motor Club. Legacy is trying to get a third full-time seat for 2026. If they do get a third full-time car, I think Jesse Love most likely is going to be the driver of that seat, with rumors and speculation around it. But if they don't get a full-time car for next year for the third entry, I think Jimmy Johnson will make a few starts. And Jimmy has stated publicly that he does plan to make a few more starts in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2025 and also in 2026. And you might see Scott Dixon as a candidate as well, because Scott Dixon is interested in running the Daytona 500. I think there's a chance of something like this happening. I think you could see Scott Dixon come in and Jimmy Johnson make a few starts in this seat. Up next up at the 88 car for Trackhouse Racing. This will once again be driven by Shane Van Gisbergen, who's expected to return to Trackhouse Racing in 2026. Shane Van Gisbergen's already picked up a win in the 2025 season and will likely win more races for the end of the year. He's also continuing to get better on ovals, so I think that is a big thing for Trackhouse Racing they really, really like. He's continuing to get better. He's continuing to show really good pace and really strong speed. He's been having a really strong and great season overall. Well, not a great season, but he's been having some really good success success so far with Trackhouse, and he'll continue driving his car. He's got Red Bull sponsorship as well. He'll continue driving his car most likely in 2026 and beyond, especially for the next couple years, depending on what the playoff system is going to look like. Up next up, the 91 car for Trackhouse Racing, also known as the Project 91 car. I think there is a chance that this car will return in 2026. I think Elio Castroneves, who's expressed some interest in running some road course races, I think he might be a potential candidate for this seat. I think Pietro Fittipaldi also wants to drive this car, could be a potential candidate for the ride. And I think Scott McLaughlin could also be one to watch for, considering Scott McLaughlin drove in the Trackhouse car that ran at Daytona for the 24 hours of Daytona. Maybe even Ben Keating could be a potential candidate as well. But I think if this car returns, I think Elio Castroneves, Pietro Fittipaldi, and Scott McLaughlin are the most likely candidates. And finally, let's talk about the 99 car for Trackhouse Racing. There's big questions surrounding who's going to drive this 99 car next year between Daniel Suarez and Connor Zilisch. If Daniel Suarez does end up driving this car in 2026, I think then Connor Zilisch stays in Xfinity for one more year. But I'm leaning a little more toward Connor Zilisch being a full-time driver in the NASCAR Cup Series next year in the number 99 machine. That means that Daniel Suarez likely will not be back with Trackhouse Racing next season. My prediction is that Daniel Suarez and Connor Zilisch swap for a year or so, where we see Suarez going to go and drive the 88 car full-time next year and maybe get some part-time starts with Kaulig, part-time starts in the 91, and part-time starts with the Junior Motorsports Cup Series team as well. But as of right now, I'm leaning towards Zilisch, but there is a potential chance that Daniel Suarez will stick around in the 99 car next season. So, that is going to be it for my updated 2026 NASCAR Cup Silly Season predictions. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on so that if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. List description below that, and comment your thoughts below and your predictions below for 2026. What's your updated Silly Season predictions? Let me know them in the comments below. If there's any major news that breaks today, we'll discuss it live. If not, tomorrow we're going to have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days, most likely. We got some RFK Racing news, some uncertainty around some of the teams and organizations about whether or not about some of the stuff in the truck series. We're going to talk about people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain. We got Chicago coming up. There probably will be an intros video for the Chicago race, so you should be expecting that for the Cup Series event. And then, of course, some other content dropping as well. Wednesday, we should have a NASCAR news video dropping, and a lot of great stuff around Chicago happening very, very soon, along with Red Bull, Cletus McFarland, Frankie Muniz, Dodge, Ram, you name it, Connor Zilisch, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, all the good stuff we talk about on the channel in the coming days and weeks. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content, other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.